So individuals on the web are hammering Shirley Strawberry for safeguarding her significant other Ernesto after he was captured on various charges, including as and Shirley chose to go after his casualties. Let me say this, that was actually a major buzzkill entertaining. No, it was actually a major buzzkill entertaining, when she was nevertheless. Everybody will have their own viewpoint on it. Yet, no, not even it's not. She's nobody's giggles. Individuals are finding it wow that Shirley isn't just deciding to stay by Ernesto, even after he got uncovered. Yet she is over here asking the courts to deliver him to her. Listen, discuss a humiliation. So Shirley Strawberry's life is a wreck right now since her significant other Ernesto Williams is having to deal with a few huge criminal penalties and maybe made a beeline for jail. For the much more dreadful word on the roads is that Shirley could have had some significant awareness of this, and presumably even assisted him with covering his tracks for quite a while. Definitely, it's an extremely terrible circumstance. Yet what about their relationship is that it has been covered with warnings all along on the grounds that tune in there has been such a lot of happening in their relationship. Ernesto and Shirley were acquainted with one another by Steve Harvey. Many individuals feel like this is a significant warning, since all of you realize how individuals feel about Steve Harvey's matchmaking. Obviously, individuals have no confidence in Steve's matchmaking abilities for this situation among Shirley and Ernesto. Just assists with making their statement. Now, 1 second that made individuals scratch their heads in disarray was when Ernesto called into Shirley's radio program with Steve Harvey to propose to her on air, and she was unable to try and perceive his voice. Only hush up briefly. Allow me to pose you an inquiry. The lady that you going to pose me this inquiry about, do you love them? No doubt, oak. Then clearly yes, this your man here, music. What it's a wreck, however, stand by a moment of the time certain individuals thought that it is somewhat charming, yet now that we're watching it again, it's somewhat strange that she wouldn't perceive her man's voice. It sort of makes you keep thinking about whether Shirley knew this man that well or not. Or then again, assuming she even understood what she was finding herself mixed up with. And listen, when I let you know that there was a ton happening with Ernesto, you all better accept it. Since this man has an extremely lengthy history of crime, he has a crook accusations that go way back to the 1980s. As well as crimes for over 20 years now. It sort of makes you can't help thinking about why Steve would set up Shirley with her home on knowing his past. And again, for this reason, individuals have no faith in his matchmaking abilities. Yet anyway, as per insiders, Shirley had some awareness of Ernesto's brilliant past. Yet she was sure that it was all previously, and that he had started over. They got hitched. And for some time it seemed as though Ernesto had truly turned his life around. He opened up a hairstyling salon in Atlanta that took special care of enormous names and superstars, along with his confidential security firm that gave unarmed security. No doubt it appeared as though Shirley had made a legitimate man out of him, and he had without a doubt started over. Yet it just so happens this new Ernesto was only a concealment. Since Mans was all the while running sweeps on the low, he got uncovered last year when he was busted by experts for running $1 billion misrepresentation plan. And incidentally, he was as yet unchanged man with a chenier suit, as per reports 57-year-old Ernest Williams and 46-year-old Erica Lord persuaded individuals to pay them for their business skill. They would conform to their casualties, with those to have the option to develop their brands, their missions, their life objectives, their virtual entertainment followings. So it sort of seemed like Ernesto, or would it be a good idea for me? I say Ernest was running a trick with a lady named Erica that they professed to resemble life mentors, or something to that effect. We're simply a remark trick these days, however, at that point, once the clients paid Ernesto and Erica, dropping my a hot potato, and never offered the types of assistance examiners, guaranteed that they had missiled in excess of 12 individuals for more than $1 million. And you all need to know the wild thing. Pretty much it's the way that none of the clients had even approached to sue or try and denounce Ernesto and Erica. The main explanation the police busted them was that they were researching an instance of rental extortion against Ernesto and Erica had a house right nearby to the one he imparted to Shirley. And after he quit making his rental installments for quite a long time, the proprietor of the house recorded a grumbling to the courts for rental extortion. And when specialists began investigating Ernesto's financials, they found a colossal situation that before long bust completely open. And this is the very thing ultimately prompted his and Erica's capture for extortion police. Say their examination initially began at this home on Pinewood Street months prior agents. Say after Williams and Ruler hadn't paid lease for some time, analysts began investigating their monetary exchanges, and it drove them to their broad plan oak. So this is where things begin to get succulent. Get your teacups, now you all realize. I said that individuals accept that Shirley realized about Ernesto's vivid exercises. Well, it just so happens several months prior before this went down, Shirley took Ernesto's name off the house that she claims in California. So what this essentially implies is that assuming Ernesto loses everything to criminal allegations, unquestionably, it's safeguarded on the grounds that her home can't be delegated one of his resources in any case after this went down. And Ernesto was captured, he was set up for 5 counts of connivance. To carry out a lawful offense, 2 of the charges were subsequently excused. And his security was set for $15,000. It was likewise set up for 3 extra charges of robbery. By assuming activity of praise fix administrations and burglary, by duplicity, I like defrauding cash from individuals who were attempting to fabricate a business wasn't awful sufficient. He was additionally previously misleading laid-out entrepreneurs, as per court archives on the 18th day of November 2021 did by misdirection, and with expectation to keep away from installment, purposely got vehicle fix administrations of a worth of more than $1,500 yet, under $5,000, which were accessible just for remuneration from Palmer Evade Chrysler Jeep Smash, and for which the blamed neglected to pay. Better believe it. What's a trickster? Generally going to be a trickster, evidently, yet assuming you felt that that show was chaotic. Well, clutch your heads, since it gets tremendously upsetting from here. So you all expertise the police work. Once they find something, they will continue to search for different things. And that is precisely exact thing happened to Ernesto. Once they learned about his misleading exercises, they began investigating him long and hard. And they found a ton of additional upsetting things. He was gotten for certain exceptionally delicate and inappropriate pictures and recordings connecting with youngsters. If you catch my drift, no doubt this is really unpleasant, except for it deteriorates from here, since he was additionally blamed for his saying nothing under 11 excavators, and he has been requested to avoid his casualties, families, and partners. And on the off chance that that is not awful, an adequate number of his side effects incorporated Shirley's own girl, her lone kid. And surprisingly, more awful in addition to the fact that he truly Shirley's little girl, yet he likewise has of the little girl's 2 children. To listen what is happening, it's considerably creepier on the grounds that he has likewise been requested to avoid all possible creatures. And this is somewhat recommending that he either was being harmful to creatures, or he was doing a few ill-advised things with the creatures. This is insane, however, at that point, as certain fans have brought up being brutal to creatures is probably not going to get him a lifetime prohibited from creatures. And it's screwed up in so many ways. Now you would feel that Ernesto, as saying her little girl and granddaughters, would be a sizable amount of justification for clearly to dump him right well off base, since not entirely set in stone to stay by this man as a matter of fact. In addition to the fact that she is staying with him, she is so asking the courts to deliver him to get back home to her. As per court records, Shirley said, "I have been informed that in at least one of the cases forthcoming for the court, I have been distinguished as both of a portion of his or observer to an implied criminal demonstration of his, to which I answer that I am neither one of the its is my aim, that the court realize that I wish for him to be delivered without any circumstances as respects to me, that I wish for him to have the option to dwell with me, or any place he chooses to live, and that his delivery be effectuated quickly. Definitely this is frightful business. Yet she fundamentally denied any information on him as saying her kid or her grandkids. And she would prefer to remain with a con artist who couldn't associate with children or canines than safeguard her own pride. And I feel that says a ton regarding the kind of individual that she is. While fanatics obviously have been pummeling her web, based making statements like an individual that could remain with the man that isn't permitted to associate with her girl and grandkids, or something different. Anything that reason she has is unsatisfactory, exceptionally miserable, terrible matter. When an individual contacts a kid and the spouse remains by him, she is similarly has debilitated. The two of them should be dropped. And like most, I was stunned and nauseated to hear the subtleties of Ernest Williams' broad criminal history and asserted forthcoming pedo charges. Shirley's reaction to the court is so disheartening, yet I really want to know what you all think about this present circumstance. Do you imagine that Shirley was genuinely ignorant about Ernesto's crimes? Or do you feel that she's a gigantic liar? What do you believe she will do with Ernesto back at her home? Let me in on your opinion on this in the remarks. And afterward, look at this next video.